So let's start. I'm a citizen and I pay my taxes on time. And like millions of citizens in Paraguay, I expect that my money is being spent properly in public education, public transportation, and etc. And I know how does it feel to see the school has collapsed because of bad material, or there are too many holes in a newly built street. And because of all of this, the public procurement is a very sensitive problem and topic. And especially in countries like Paraguay, that the public procurement is 11% of the economy, it is even more important. So to regulate the purchases of the government, purchases of goods and services, we need to have oversight agencies. What does it mean? An oversight agency is an independent organization that controls the whole process. And I want to explain you how they work with an example. Imagine that we have a public university and they want to order new comfortable chairs to increase the participation of students in the classroom. And as the first step, what they do is that they submit a tender. What is a tender? A tender is an invitation from a government agency for businesses to bid or compete for a project. In this specific example, these bidders are all the companies that produce chairs. Okay, here is the place that the oversight agency comes to the scene. Why? Because maybe the public university knows some companies, and we know that they know. So, and they write the tender in a way that only that company wins the bid. So here, this is the responsibility of auditors, of oversight agencies, that they make these kinds of observations in an iterative manner until these tenders are consistent with the laws and can be, are ready to for the bidding, and they can go on. In Paraguay, this specific oversight agency is the National Agency for Public Procurement, and we call them DNCP from now on. And they were our partners, and we worked with them through the summer. Now, what is the main challenge for DNCP now? Every year, they receive 10,000 of tenders, and they have like around 50 staffs. And of course, you see this combination is very challenging, especially in the busy seasons. So, and the other thing is Paraguay has a growing economy. So very soon we have even more tenders, and after a while it is not sustainable anymore this way. And because of this problem, DNCP did start a very good process, and they digitalized their system of submission of the tender and also doing the auditing process, and now everything is digitalized and it is ready that the data science projects can work on top of that. So this is where we came to the scene. So what is our solution here? With this digitalization, now after the tender submission, the public agency submits the tender, and then the auditors audit the tenders, and there are different characteristics of tenders and also text they fill in the system, and also the observations that the auditors assign to those tenders. Now we have this information. Then we thought, okay, if we can talk with auditors more, maybe we can also understand more about data, and we define new variables based on the available information that are very related to the observation. Because we all know that machines cannot understand a bunch of text. You should somehow convert them to something understandable for a machine. So we designed the new variables based on them. I give you an example. Here is a text which is in Spanish. And also, you can see that, I mean, here it is talking about the required experience for a bidder. And now automatically we are extracting the years that are mentioned, and we convert that to a variable which says the number of years of experience is 3. So this is an understandable feature for machine. And then we use all of this information and we feed it to a machine learning model to predict the probability of a tender having an observation. Now, the proportion of the tenders with observation is 10%. So far, so good. Let's imagine that you are auditors and you only have time to review 10 tenders because it is a busy season. And yes, it is not easy. So you should find this problematic tender among all of these tenders. And of course, it is challenging. And if you want to just randomly pick some of them is one way. The other way is that you do that in a first come, first serve manner. And if you do that this way, as we said, because the percentage is 10%, you are only able to catch one of the tenders with observation. But if you let our model to pick these 10 tenders for you, then you are able to catch 5 tenders with inconsistency to the law. And yes, you spend the same amount of time, but this time you could catch 5 of the problematic tenders. And as I mentioned, this digitalization process just happened in 2021, and we only accessed 11 months of data, but still the results are very great. But we are completely sure if we have like 2 years of data, we can capture the seasonal patterns and the performance would improve a lot. But we didn't stop here. We added some explainability to our models, which means we show the auditors that if our model is suggesting for an observation and it says that this tender is possible to have observation, what is the reason? Then the auditor can go through the tender and says, okay, the model is saying the finance section is blank, or the experience rate is too limiting, as we already talked about that. And then the auditor can target the places in the tender and can go through that. The other thing was that the DNCP team provided us with a list of words and which were problematic mostly in the tenders. So we searched for them automatically, and we are also showing the presence of these words to the verifiers, and then they can use their time in a better way. And okay, these were the outcomes for auditors. And what are the outcomes for DNCP? Now, the DNCP can screen the tenders faster with this tool. And also, what happens next is that the auditor's time is being assigned in a better way to the tenders. So we kind of can relieve the seasonal bottlenecks we talked about. And of course, when at the same time, we are keeping the quality of the control. And in future, it can be a part of the automation of the system, and AI can be in the loop, and some parts of the system can be automated. And now the question is, what are the outcomes for Paraguay or even other Latin American countries, because their systems are very similar to each other? First of all, we have the more consistent application of regulation, which is very important. And because the queues are shorter, then we have like faster delivery of goods and services, which is also important, especially in the cases that we are talking about medications and patients are waiting for that. And because of the more consistent regulation application, of course, the competitions would be fairer. And at the end, our taxpayer would reach to better public services. My name is Kiana. This is my team, Pauline, Yang, Isabella, and Devesh. And we want to acknowledge Diego's and Michael's efforts that walked us through the whole process. And we enjoyed our DSSG program a lot, thanks to Sebastian and Andrea, who made it possible. And at the end, I should thank again our wonderful collaboration partner, DNCP, who were always attentive, responsive, and amazing to work with. Thank you.